Hello everyone, it's QuestQuenchers here today, and I want to talk to you about what gamers want, and specifically what this gamer wants. There's been a lot of talk about people don't know what gamers want anymore, developers don't know and stuff. So I'm just here to say I know what I want, and I've been saying it for ages. I've made quite a few videos and stuff. So the Skinny is basically it's a an open world RPG third person action game. That's it. Now we have received many, but they haven't been done right. The last one I played was Dragon Age Veilguard, and that wasn't particularly good because of its writing and the messaging behind it. It took away too much from Thedas and all that stuff, and the combat wasn't too great either. But I know what I like. I want a Dragon's Dogma-esque kind of game. Yes, it had great combat, great action combat, but where it struggled mostly was in its storytelling and the missions and kind of things that you had to do. Whereas I think compared to Dragon's Dogma 1, I think that did far better than Dragon's Dogma 2 than, telling a story kind of thing. It was more interesting. The writing was a bit more out. It got more interesting. Talk with the dragon and all that stuff. And it's just whereas Dragon's Dogma 2 did not have that for some reason, and it was very it was just light on the story for some reason. It had everything there. The action is great. The monsters are great. Could have used a few more monsters, I think, in my opinion. Probably should have plucked some from the first one and the DLC and then put them in the second one. But overall, it was an okay game, but it quickly died because the story was just not there, really, which is a shame. It's like, oh, it sounded like you were going to take over this kingdom, become the Arisen, maybe, uh, do some commanding of your kingdom and stuff, do things, do that, do other, and it could lead to different things. But no, it kind of didn't. So they went in a different, totally direction. It was just very bland and very not much there, which is a shame. So hopefully in the DLC they rectify all these issues with Dragon's Dogma 2, but who knows really? But I imagine it's kind of abandoned, it feels like. There's been an update in a while, and I'm not too sure if there's anything going on really. But yeah, it's that was the kind of game that I wanted, a third-person action open world RPG that has limited amount of quests, that there is a time where you stop playing because you've completed everything and it's like a really good feeling kind of thing. So like people like, oh, gamers want another Skyrim, and it's like, no, we don't want the random generation quest kind of thing. I find them particularly boring. Like, go here, fetch that, go here, kill that, and there's no sort of extended branches upon those quests. So it's like because you've done that, this happens and all that stuff. So it's like players generally want, this player wants consequences to actions, whether they be good or bad. A bit like Fable in a way. That had consequences and stuff like that. Fable, I think it was 2 and 3. No, uh, yeah, 2 and 3. I felt like had the most kind of consequences for your actions. And that felt really good. So basically, just putting it out there, an open world RPG. Uh, Basically, I prefer like medieval Dragon Agey kind of thing with magic and that kind of thing. But the armor has to look sort of fanciful, but kind of down to earth, a bit like Skyrim's. But it's very unique from our world. So there's not many elements from our world. It's all uniquely their world kind of thing. So with the arts, but not the art style, I feel like needs to be realism, but with a little bit of stretch of the imagination kind of thing. Um, and that just like Skyrim, but a little bit more. And it's basically like that's what we want. We want a cool sort of mechanics to level up our characters, like Skyrim. But I prefer you put your own choose your own skills and add numbers up and stuff like that. That seems cool to me. And I like that very much. I like, have cool swords. So, have one-handed swords, two-handed swords, staffs that are just normal bonking staffs, magical staffs, and then you have your shields and your wands and stuff like that, and your own magic spells basically. And so it's like, yeah, and then you could just be like, oh, so there's ice, fire, you know, blood, magic, all that stuff like that, and it's all just wrapped into like an open world RPG, and it's basically you're just thrown into there. You don't have to be the all powerful one, but you can become the all powerful one. And if you want to be a blacksmith that makes weapons for people and stuff like that, you can be. And then this blacksmith decides to take up the mantle and become the savior of the village, the kingdom, or whatever, kind of thing. It doesn't have to be savior of the world and all that stuff like the Dragonborn, just like you've honed your skills through, trial and error and stuff like that. When it comes to sort of like death mechanics, I do like the one that's in Lorim, where you don't die, you get like knocked out and you wake up in like the previous bed you slept in or something. Or with the I think it's called Onwards, not Onwards. It's what I can't remember what it's called. Outward. That's it. Um that kind of mechanic where you get like if you get killed by an enemy, you wake up at a campsite, someone's sort of dragged you there, or a thief came across you, dragged you to safety, and then nicked some of your stuff. I like that kind of mechanic. I think that's pretty cool. Like it's a continuation, and it's kind of like not a it's a continuation instead of a death and reload kind of thing. So there's like, oh, you got lucky this time, and a fellow savior came across, saw you, being attacked, and dragged you away, kind of thing. And I think that's pretty. I like that kind of aspect. So it's like, there's a continuation to your story instead of, oh, you died. No, you didn't really, because it's taking you to the load screen. It was a premonition or something like that. And now you know more. Whereas I like this kind of style instead. And then, yeah, but like, that's just what I want, basically. It's not, you know, I've seen so many like games made like this, but they always hit the tone wrong. It's just not right. Like Dragon Age, it didn't work correctly. But that's a part of a massive long franchise and stuff, and they kind of did a reboot, and that's why that didn't work. Um, Whereas like Skyrim was like feels like its own game kind of thing, 200 years, so it doesn't matter what consequences you stuff. Just let time for doing sequels, let do that kind of thing, the Elder Scrolls kind of thing. And I think that worked really well. It was its own kind of story and stuff like that within Skyrim, and I like that kind of thing. So your consequences didn't matter because you're in a totally different place. So that's what Dragon Age should have done, I think. But they're very limited in what they could do. I feel like they wrote themselves into a bit of a corner. But yeah, it's so let's go over it one more time. So an open world RPG with leveling mechanics, a bit like Skyrim, but you can pop your numbers in. Combat like Dragon's Dogma 2. Monsters, big monsters, small monsters, all that stuff. A nice variety. Interesting quests. It's not too hard to write quests. You can get ChatGPT to do that for you now. Just make sure a human writes the dialogue and it actually sounds like two people talking. Probably a non-verbal voice protagonist, so you can choose your lines and responses with the voice in your head, depending on how you want to speak and stuff. So it adds a little bit more to your character in a way, or how you want to present the character. And that's basically it, really. And then just make sure you don't like skimp out of the details. So if you like want to be a a barmaid or anything, you can play this mini game and you make drinks and stuff. You gain money that way, and then you can buy property and all, and or you can buy shops and fill it with stuff you collect over time or anything like that on your adventures. You can maybe make it a little bit more complicated. Just like you can talk to the blacksmith and sell some of his product in your thing, or around different businesses and stuff. It's like the little bits from like Fable 2 and stuff. I remember like buying and like working and making an interesting mini game. And then seeing all the multipliers and like you're getting like a lot of gold and you're like ha ha ha. But because it was on Xbox, it kind of like tripped out the more calculations there was. And it's like you felt it lagging. I thought it was pretty funny. But no, I mean, you can probably fix that right now with like modern day tech. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Not like an eternal game you play. Eventually, there will be an end to the character. So not like randomly generated quests all the times and stuff kind of thing. Just make it like, not limited, not repetitive in that kind of way, but like make a good amount of quests. That takes, from probably 30 hours to 50 hours, I think is pretty good. And then you'd be like, wow, that I really enjoyed that. Yeah, maybe, well, if it's an open world kind of, you're going to expect to be in that world for quite a while. So maybe it's like probably 50 to 100 actually kind of hours to get out of it. Um, so yeah, that amount. And then like having branching paths and stuff, people can go different ways and get more hours out of it kind of thing. Yeah, and that's basically it really. Like a fantasy medieval game. I say medieval, I think that means like, uh, not technologically advanced kind of thing with magic and stuff. And it's, it's they've done this stuff in the past and it really worked well. Like Fable 1 I really enjoyed, Fable 2 I really enjoyed, Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls, Oblivion and stuff like that. It's magic. But like if you just take, analyze it, take all the parts from each one, add them all in together, and then it's just like that's like a really great open world game. Of course, I don't like building settlements and stuff, so that's why I haven't chosen that. Some people do love that, but I don't. How it is implemented, I don't think is correct. But yeah, that's more or less like what I want right now. What I feel like playing. Like there's that. That's why I'm playing Lorem so much. But eventually, it will be like, oh, I'm playing Skyrim again in a way. And I've played these quests a billion times. I've played the the modded quests a billion times now. So it's just like, yeah, eventually it'll get old and it will not feel great. I'll eventually want to put it down and be like, oh, I need something new. So, I mean, that's what happens with games, and then you give it a break for a while, and then you play it again, and it feels fresh again, kind of thing in time. But yeah, that's more or less, what I think. What this gamer wants really. I want some, I've already said it a million times. No, I just want what I want, what I've said, and that will make me immensely happy. And yeah, but like I said, I don't know. A lot of I guess developers are going in different directions. They want to make something else other than what people want, and it's just like okay, don't know what they're doing now. But yeah, and then they're like, oh, I don't know what you want, but there's people like me saying I've said what I want a million times, and you don't listen. So yeah. Well, that's all from me. I'll see you in the next one. That's what this gamer wants. Bye.